The Nun II from 2023 got a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. But what do I think about it? What's up, y'all? Today we're going to be reviewing The Nun from 2023. The Conjuring Last Rites comes out this Friday, so we're going to be going through and reviewing every single movie according to the Conjuring timeline. After the reviews, I'm going to be doing some tier lists and some rankings as well. Here's the timeline of the Conjuring Universe if you are interested or want to see these movies in order for yourselves. We have already reviewed The Nun and Annabelle Creation if you want to check those out as well. So without further ado, let's get into the third movie on that timeline, The Nun II. It's directed by Michael Chaves and stars Taissa Farmiga, Jonas Blackett, Storm Reed, Anna Popplewell, and Bonnie Aarons. Set in 1956 France, Sister Irene is called back into action when a new wave of demonic deaths hints that Valak has returned. Joined by a novice, she must confront her darkest fears to stop the evil from spreading once again. The film drips with gothic horror. It takes place in ancient European civilization in a brooding, foreboding atmosphere. It's really claustrophobic, feels dark, and with that atmosphere, it does build slowly towards, you guessed it, some jump scares. But this one leans into strange visuals instead of just stupid, uncanny jump scares. Taissa Farmiga returns with, she's already been Sister Irene, so she returns once again with poise, and she gets the job done here once again. I love her as Sister Irene. And Storm Reed makes a pretty good impression here as the novice. And although she does seem to get a lot of people do say she was sidelined super early, which I do agree with. She wasn't used very much, but I thought she was a fun character. We learned a lot about her backstory and where she came from and things, especially at the beginning with the conversation between her and Sister Irene. So that relationship, we were, at least I was rooting for it. Of course, we get Frenchie back, although I liked him better in the first film than here in the second one. Maybe that's because, he's kind of possessed now. But even taking that away, his character was, he just wasn't utilized as well as he was in the first film, in my opinion. And Bonnie Aarons returns as terrifying Valak once again. You get a mix of atmospheric dread and jump scares here. With some creative visuals, like the newspapers flickering to show Valak there at some point in the film, and it does have way more creative visuals and some more creative jump scares as well. But yeah, bare boned, if you really chisel it down, it does still have those common overused horror tropes. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think it does work way better in this film than in the original film. This is solid for Conjuring Universe fans. Similarly to the first film, this really isn't mandatory for you to watch the Conjuring films, the other films in this universe. But it is. I think this one's really worth it though. And with that being said, though, it is interesting to watch. Go ahead and watch that first one as well. But so you don't need to watch this one, but I do recommend it. So from this point on, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Nun II, go ahead and check it out, since it is pretty recent. I really like the story that was built here. We have Frenchie with his kind of love interest in the teacher and her daughter, which is not his love interest, but, he has a love interest with the teacher, and then he's very close with the daughter and is kind of like a father figure to her. And that whole relationship was pretty cool. We rooted for that and was able to grow us closer to Frenchie as we saw him breaking down, becoming possessed by Valak as the film went on. And it was good to follow, and even some plots that I did like was that secret room. I thought that was super cool and very, very creepy. The fact that they had this locked away room that the other teacher or whatever she was, maybe like the principal, her son had died in the past, and now there was the stained church glass windows in there, and there was a legend about the bull turning into the devil if you look away or whatever. That was some pretty cool lore. And some pretty cool scares in there. And then obviously we have Sister Irene, who we kind of followed her journey from being at the another abbey, I believe, with the novice, and then being called to go to action, hopping on the train and everything like that. So the first act, honestly, I was a big fan of. And the acting all across the board was pretty good. I don't really see anyone that had bad acting at all. Really super cast here. I can't even complain. which in the Conjuring franchise, I really don't notice any bad acting or any bad cast or anything. Honestly, I think the casting call and this whole universe is done very well. Usually when it falls short, it is a more writing error or, just leaning too heavily on the jump scares. It kind of ruins the movies. But here in this movie, nothing ruined. Once again, we have the theme of faith versus evil. I mean, that's the whole Conjuring Universe type of thing. I'm not seeing anything super deep in the themes or no commentary going on, really. If I had to pick a favorite moment here in this movie, I think it's going to be, you can't really walk away from that scare with Irene when she goes up to the newspaper stand. But I'm gonna actually give my favorite moment. I'm gonna give that the honorable mention, her at the newspaper stand, because I do believe that was a pretty good scare. But I'm gonna give the intro. I really thought this had such a strong intro. It was very dark, atmospheric, very scary. When you have this kid going into the basement at the church, and then Valak's there, and then he goes back upstairs, and it's just super scary. And then he sees like his father or that church figure who he was doing things for. Like he said, "Oh, go get this for me," and he went and got it. Like it was kind of a father figure for him. He just saw him go up into flames and die right there at the church, right then and there, while Valak was there. And then from there, it led that set up the rest of the story to where Valak, or they didn't know it, but they were deaths moving across Europe, and they were like, it's seeming to go to Romania, and then Irene is like, oh, it's Valak. So it was super interesting to, of course, Irene didn't know her name yet, but it's super interesting to see that going on, and super cool opening scene that sets up the rest of the plot, which I thought was very cool. My least favorite moment, I'm going to give it to, not a specific moment, but there were times in there when there was some goofy activity, I'll call it. There were some silly things going on. Like, we had the bull. When the bull actually comes out later, I thought it kind of looked silly, and it wasn't very scary, with like the horns, and it was just like I don't know. I didn't really like the design, and also like the final showdown with Valak when it became super strong because it gets the eyes of Ruby or whatever it was, and it just becomes super strong. But then they were able to beat it with the wine, I believe, and it catches on fire. And just that finale, where she starts praying, and her and the novice start praying to overcome Valak, which was super cool because that did happen in the first film with Valak praying, and that was the way that she was able to overcome Valak. Because there was a point when, she had tricked her into thinking all these other sisters were there, but it was really just her praying. And then in this film, we have her praying with the novice to defeat Valak. So that side was cool, but just the effects of Valak being defeated, catching on fire, things like that, and the bull or the demon horn animal dog, or whatever you want to call it, those effects or costume designs didn't really work for me, and I thought it was kind of silly. But it's really the only thing holding it back, because I really enjoy this movie. I don't think there's... I think it's a big step up from the first Nun. I do like the more integrated lore. It starts to amp up a little bit, but still, I think it is... since the first movie was so lazy building the lore with Valak, that it still isn't as interesting as I would hope it to be. But I think it definitely is a step up, so I can't complain about that. I think this holds up way better than the first Nun. I mean, the first Nun didn't have much plot, much character development, but here we take that first act to actually develop these characters. We feel for Frenchie. We feel for Sister Irene, as she, she's scared to go back, but she has to go back because she wants to help the Vatican. So, and really the world, all of Europe that's being affected or will be affected. And it's just super cool to see that. I mean, there was actual plot developed, so we felt for these characters. They weren't just people who were dealing with a demonic demon or whatever. And I think that's super cool that they took the time to do that, and it was definitely worth it. It paid off in the end, and this movie holds up way better than the original one. And within the franchise, I mean, I'm not sure where I would put it, because there are some strong movies that do come up, but all I can say is it's definitely a step up from the original Nun. And I think it's going to end up being a good movie for a while to come. Like, I could see myself rewatching this. It was pretty fun. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a huge step up from the first Nun, and I give it 3.5 out of 5 pickles. And I would most likely put my pickle in it, but Valak, keep a few steps away from me, please. Let me know what y'all think about the sequel to The Nun down in the comments below. Do you like this movie? What do you rate it? Let me know. Please drop a like and hit that subscribe button, or Valak will be under your bed. Thank y'all so much for watching, and have a blessed day. Peace!